when news broke that Donald Trump had secretly met with several African diplomats in Dubai. Quiet concern spread through the halls of Burkina Faso's presidential palace in Ouagadougou. President Ibrahim Traoré, known for standing strong against foreign pressure, was reading late-night security reports when his chief of staff rushed in with a classified memo, warning that Trump was offering a new trade deal, but it was a trap. The deal demanded control over Burkina Faso's gold exports and offered military support, only if the country agreed. Traoré, calm but firm, set the memo down, his jaw clenched. He had fought too long to protect his nation's freedom to back down now. Call a Security Council meeting at dawn, he said, and prepare a public statement if Trump thinks he can bully Africa again. He's about to learn who we are. As restless winds swept over the city, inside the palace, a storm of determination was building. When the sun rose, it felt like a signal for battle. In the grand marble halls of the palace, Traoré stood before his closest generals, ministers, and advisors with maps of West Africa laid out before them, marked with red pins. Trump wants control, Traoré said calmly. He wants to fix gold prices, expand U.S. military bases, and keep us dependent on foreign aid. That ends today. General Kabore, head of national defense, warned that rejecting Trump could bring harsh consequences, economic sanctions, or even sabotage. But Traoré's eyes sparked with resolve. Let him try, he replied. We survived colonial rule, droughts, and terrorists. We'll survive Trump too. Looking around at the steady faces in the room, he gave his orders: increase security, mobilize border patrols, and release a carefully crafted message to the public. Burkina Faso will never sell its dignity. Not for gold, not for guns. In that bright room, a nation's resistance solidified. And across the Atlantic, Trump's team realized they had underestimated Traoré once again. Within hours, news of his bold stand was spreading like wildfire through Washington. Trump slammed his fist on the Oval Office desk, sending briefing papers flying and startling his advisors. He's bluffing, he shouted. No African president dares to challenge the United States, not on my watch. But beneath all the anger, a troubling reality lingered. Traoré wasn't bluffing. Burkina Faso's reserves of gold and critical minerals made the country too valuable to ignore, and its president too independent to control. That evening, an emergency meeting took place at the White House where CIA analysts, Pentagon officials, and economic strategists debated the next move. Ideas like economic sabotage, diplomatic pressure, and covert operations floated through the room like knives. Trump sat with his arms crossed, jaw tight, then looked at his security chief and said coldly, "Send him a message, make sure he understands what it means to turn his back on America." Meanwhile, in Ouagadougou, President Traoré walked through the quiet presidential gardens, thinking through every possible trap. He knew a storm was coming, and he was ready to face it. Before sunrise, he called a secret meeting in a secure underground chamber beneath the palace. Round a steel table sat generals, intelligence officers, and loyal ministers, all tense but determined. Traoré spoke firmly. Trump won't sit still. He'll try to crush us economically, politically. Maybe worse. We must secure our borders, protect communications, and strengthen every alliance. General Samek, a longtime comrade from Traoré's revolutionary days, leaned forward and warned, "Mr. President, our people are ready. But if the U.S. cuts off trade, our economy could suffer badly. We'll need to prepare food reserves, manage resources, and find partners who are willing to stand with us despite sanctions." Traoré nodded. "Then let's do it. Africa must show the world we bow to no empire. If Trump wants to test U.S., let him come. We will not break." Within hours, international media picked up leaks of Traoré's emergency plans, and headlines around the world lit up. Burkina Faso defies U.S., prepares for economic siege across Africa. Millions watched the story unfold, some worried, but many inspired as one leader dared to say no to Washington. And at the White House, the pressure kept rising. The atmosphere was tense and explosive. Trump, surrounded by aggressive advisors and angry economic strategists, slammed his hand on the Situation Room table. "Who does this kid think he is? He shouted, blocking our companies, preparing for war. I want options: military, economic, covert now. His national security advisor responded cautiously, Mr. President, a direct military strike would cause outrage across Africa and beyond. But we can hit him in other ways: freeze Burkina Faso's assets, block international aid, and stir rebellion from within his own government. Trump leaned in with a sneer, do it all and leak it. I want him to see what happens when you spit in America's face. Meanwhile in Ouagadougou, President Traoré went live on national television. His voice echoed through radios, phones, market stalls, city blocks, and rural villages. They threaten us with poverty. They threaten us with power. But we choose freedom over fear, he declared. Let the world watch. Burkina Faso will not bow. Across the country, cheers erupted in streets and villages. Women ululated, men raised their fists, and a wave of pride swept through the nation as global leaders argued over the deepening crisis. Behind the scenes, secret operations were already underway. In Washington, a special task force assembled in a secure underground facility. Cyber experts, spies, and political operatives laid out a plan: hack Traoré's networks, intercept communications, bribe high-ranking officials, and spark internal unrest with fake stories and disinformation. But in Ouagadougou, deep beneath the presidential palace, Traoré met with his closest commanders and trusted ministers inside a fortified war room. Maps marked with pins showed the locations of suspected Western agents and key infrastructure. Targets. Calm but resolute, he looked his team in the eye and said, "We will not wait to be slowly strangled. We expose their lies. We protect every inch of this land. And if they come for us, they'll regret ever stepping foot here," Traoré said firmly. His intelligence chief leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Mr. President, we've intercepted coded messages. American contractors are working with opposition groups. We can stop them, but we must move tonight." Traoré gave a single nod. "Then do it quietly. Africa is not for sale, not for foreign hands." That night, under a moonless sky, Ouagadougou did not sleep. Traoré's elite units moved silently through neighborhoods and empty warehouses like shadows. Special teams raided secret safe houses where foreign operatives had been stashing weapons and cash. Near the city's edge, a fierce shootout erupted when mercenaries refused to surrender. Gunfire tore through the night, but within minutes, Traoré's commandos captured the ringleaders and seized crates of smuggled ammunition, clearly marked with foreign logos. By sunrise, national television broke the story. Dozens of foreign agents arrested in a coordinated attempt to destabilize Burkina Faso. Blurred images of suspects and photos of captured weapons flashed across screens, triggering a storm of public anger. In Washington, Trump was handed the intel during breakfast. Furious, he slammed his fist on the table. "How does that African captain keep beating us?" he shouted. "Double the pressure, flood their media with lies, destroy their currency, sanction their allies. If it's a fight he wants, it's a fight he'll get." But Traoré was already ahead. He went live with a message to the world: Burkina Faso is free. We do not kneel. Any hand raised against our people will find this land impossible to rule. The people erupted. Crowds filled the streets, waving flags and chanting his name, daring any foreign power to come try. As the sun rose over Ouagadougou, Traoré gathered his closest advisors in a sealed underground room, prepared for whatever came next. The walls of the presidential palace were covered with maps, each marked with red pins showing enemy positions and smuggling routes. Maurice Sankara, recently called back from semi-retirement, leaned over one of them and said, "Mr. President, we've cleared out the mercenaries here, but there's talk that Trump's allies are moving money and weapons through the borders. We need to shut them down fast." Traoré, his eyes bloodshot from nights without sleep, nodded with steady focus. "Mobilize border patrols, launch drone surveillance, activate community defense groups. If any foreign agent crosses into our land again, they vanish for good." Meanwhile in Washington, Trump's advisors urged caution. "Mr. President, the world is watching. If we go too far, this could backfire," one warned. But Trump wasn't listening. "I don't care," he snapped. "That little soldier humiliated me on live television. He wants a war of nerves, fine he'll crack first. But Traoré had his own strategy. That evening, he went live on national TV, his voice calm, but every word deliberate and sharp. We Africans will no longer fight each other to serve foreign agendas. Make no mistake, Burkina Faso may bleed, but we will never crawl. His words lit a fire across the continent, from students and workers to soldiers and elders. A chant echoed far and wide. We stand with Traoré. That same night, armored trucks moved quietly along back roads near the northern border. Inside were elite forces loyal to Traoré, armed, and whispering quiet prayers as they prepared to intercept a convoy believed to be smuggling weapons and cash from Trump's secret network. Back in Washington, one of Trump's top strategists slammed a fist on the desk. Sir, Traoré's moves are costing us. He's flipping the warlords we bought into his allies. He's too smart, too unpredictable. Trump, pacing furiously in front of the fireplace, snarled with frustration, realizing this battle wouldn't be won easily. Then take him down another way, leak corruption rumors, bribe bloggers, bury him in scandal if he won't bow, Trump ordered, his voice cold. Back in Ouagadougou, President Traoré sat alone in his war room, rereading intercepted U.S. communications when his advisors entered cautiously. Mr. President, the raid was successful. We've seized crates of American dollars, satellite phones, and encrypted laptops. A tired but satisfied smile crept across Traoré's face. Good. Release the photos to every media outlet tonight. Let the world see who funds the chaos in Africa. He turned to Sankara, now back by his side as a trusted fixer. Maurice, the next move is yours. Leak the proof, show the people that Africa's real enemy doesn't wear a soldier's uniform. It wears a suit. As the city woke at dawn, newspapers blazed with one headline: Traoré exposes foreign plot. Burkina Faso fights back. By midday, the streets of Ouagadougou overflowed with raised fists and waving flags. Young people marched through dusty alleys and busy squares, chanting Traoré's name as banners flew overhead reading, "Africa is not for sale." News drones captured every chant, every sign, every voice rising in defiance. In Washington, Trump watched the footage in stunned silence as his aides stood frozen. One whispered, "Mr. President, it's out of control. Sanctions won't fix this." He flipped your story. Trump slammed the remote on the table. He's a nobody. He should have begged us for protection, not humiliated us. But fury couldn't reverse what had happened. The leaks, the photos, the confessions, all of it had been timed perfectly. Traoré had outmaneuvered every step. Back in Burkina Faso, Traoré and Sankara stood on a balcony overlooking the crowd below. The air carried dust, sweat, and the scent of something new, hope. "You see that, Maurice?" Traoré said, voice calm but worn. "They're not marching for me. They're marching for themselves." Sankara, usually a hardened realist, allowed himself a rare smile. "Yes, but they'll never forget who gave them the courage to rise." As night settled over the city, Traoré raised one hand in silent salute to his people, a symbol of strength seen far into the distance. This moment carried one clear message to the entire world: no deal, no threat, no foreign power can break an Africa that stands united. Tonight wasn't just a showdown between one president and a global superpower. It was something far greater. It was the moment a nation stood tall and said, "Not this time." Trump thought money and pressure could crush the will of a people. But Traoré proved that when a leader stands for something greater than himself, no empire, no matter how powerful, can break the spirit of a united people. For years, Africa has been treated like a marketplace for secret deals, its resources taken, its leaders silenced, and its future sold off cheap. But tonight showed the world that a new generation is rising, one that's ready to push back, ready to build a future that belongs to its own children, not to foreign powers or outsiders. This wasn't just one man standing up to Trump, it was millions standing together, refusing to be bought, refusing to be broken. True power doesn't come from money or weapons, it comes from courage, unity, and a people who know they deserve better and are willing to fight for it. Tomorrow, the threats may return, and backroom deals may be written again, but this time, Africa is watching. This time, Africa is ready. Remember this moment. Share it. talk about it, because as long as even one voice dares to say no, there's hope for a future where Africa chooses its own destiny. This was not just Traoré's victory. It was a message to the world. Africa is awake, and it will never bow again.